I'm your host, Megan DeFord, and today I'm joined by someone who is quite literally changing the way we experience joy. Welcome, Pearl Cicci. Pearl is helping women get out of survival mode, thrive sober, and create their dream life. She's the founder of the LIT Rave, a sober dance party that is redefining connection, energy, and what it means to feel fully alive without substances. And as someone who is sober, wildly intentional, and building a movement rooted in feeling good for real, Pearl, I am super excited to dive into this with you. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, Megan. That was so beautiful. I was like, oh, that was a really great intro. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me. It's going to be a great conversation.
Awesome. Well, we are with your girl, Pearl. So when people say, like, wait, what do you do? Like, how do you describe what you do? From everything that I've seen, you were just like a bundle of energy, but you've got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, I do. It's so funny when I get that question. I'm like, how long do we have? I think I try to put it into two categories. My two biggest passions are wellness, like
Mhm.
physical, mental, all the wellness, and movement and dancing. Those are my two biggest passions. And so I tell people that I'm a multi-passionate woman, but I like to focus on helping people become really attuned to their body and how to optimize the body and feel really good. And I love dancing. I host sober dance parties. And then the competition kind of goes from there.
That's awesome. And you went from a dietitian to a somatic health coach. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And
Yes.
like, what made you realize this was the transition that you wanted to do?
Yeah. I think we all have journeys that kind of take us somewhere different. And initially, I've always known somewhere deep down that I've wanted to have dance and movement be a part of my life. When I was younger, I always wanted dance. And when people would ask me what I wanted to do, I would say I want to be a dancer, a professional dancer, right? But as we get older, people say, "Oh, that's not good. You can't do that," or "It's not a good job." So the second thing, I'm a big foodie. I love food. And so I was like, well, if I can't be a dancer, then let me look into what else I can do. So I started Googling a bunch of stuff and dietitian came up and I had no idea what that was. I was like, what dietetian? I was like, what is this word? But it had to do with food and nutrition. So I applied to be a dietitian and went through the whole 6 years of schooling, did the whole thing. And when I became a dietitian, a lot of the time you're working in the hospital. The most probable place to get a job is to be in the hospital. So I'm there working and it's just not giving me life. It's draining my soul and I didn't love it. But there was one part that I really enjoyed, which was the education part, which was the teaching, the coaching when I'd work in the more long-term areas, not the acute areas of the hospital, but the more chronic areas. And I would see the same clients over and over again. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I really love this. And so that brought me into eventually quitting dietetics, becoming a nutrition coach, doing nutrition coaching, which then led me to doing personal training, which then led me to doing more things deeper because I noticed people needed a little bit more support than just here's what you need to do and here's what to eat and here's how to work out. There was deeper internal blocks that were coming up. And so I started doing more deeper work with people and we started talking about like their emotions and like things that would come up and like what their parents would say and like how they were conditioned. And I was like, oh, there's a lot here. So then it started diving into somatics and the nervous system and how we're wired and the body and now we're here, and I still weave all the things into my work, but very focused on the somatics, the body, the nervous system, and how we can basically rewire our bodies to feel really good and yeah, do the things that we love. So
That's awesome. And can you talk more about the nervous system? Like, what is the nervous system if someone's like, what are you talking about? And how it impacts us in our daily lives.
yeah, what a good question. The nervous system is, I know it's thrown around a lot, but it is a system of
Yeah.
nerves in the body. So the
Yeah.
nervous system is our whole body, goes from our spinal cord all the way down to our feet. We have our peripheral nerves, our central nerves, but basically there's nerve endings all throughout our body. And the nervous system is very connected to our functions, our organs, our brain, how everything works. And the nervous system protects or basically helps us protect ourselves from certain things and it's how we see life. So based on how our nervous systems are conditioned from early childhood into later years, we have a certain way of being, of moving, of feeling. And what is perceived as safe to our bodies and our nervous systems is what we're going to try and keep repeating in our life. That's like the easiest way to describe it. So the nervous system actually is part of our subconscious, which controls 95% of our daily actions, thoughts, and habits every day. And so if there's something that you're not or a pattern that you're observing happen over and over again that you can't seem to break, usually it's a deeper nervous system or subconscious issue.
Yeah, I am curious too, when you're talking about the nervous system, and I practice meditation, and I've had instructors talk about like the vagus nerve and activating different parts of your body, literally with chanting. Can you talk a little bit about how does that work? It's amazing how you can feel it physically, like this difference
Mhm.
come over you. So, are there, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. I'll just say it. It sounds dumb. Are there
Nothing's dumb.
certain nerves that are more important or tuned in than others, or does the whole system work together as a whole?
Yeah, the whole system works together as a whole. And I'm going to share this from my perspective based on what I've learned about the
Yeah.
nervous system. Now, I'm not like a nervous system expert, but
Yeah.
I've read enough in my
Sure.
knowledge to give me a good understanding to help support the people I work with. But it's worked together as a whole. And I wouldn't say there's some parts that are more important than others. The whole nervous system is very important. Now,
Mhm.
the thing that happens is that we are not taught and we are not usually optimized to have a calm, regulated nervous system. We don't really understand what that is when we're young. We're just really getting to know that society now, which is beautiful. So as we get older and we have this nervous system, most of the time we're living in our sympathetic nervous system. It's our freeze, it's our fight, it's our flight, it's our fawn. Multiple or a few of these responses come up in our day to day based on how our body's been used to feeling throughout our history. And so there are certain things we can do, like the chanting, the meditating, the humming to activate our vagus nerve, which is one very important nerve that stimulates our rest and relaxation response. So, this is our parasympathetic system. And more often than not, we actually, as humans, want to be in this state, but we are actually more in our fight or flight or fawn state. So, it's very important to train the body through things like meditation, movement, dance, somatics, whatever you do to trigger the vagus nerve, but other parts of our body to understand that, okay, we can be in this space, we can feel calm, we can feel safe, like we can relax. And that's kind of the way it all works together.
Yeah. And I feel like maybe this was always known, but I feel like, especially since COVID, there's been this advice of like, go outside for a walk,
Mhm.
touch grass, like, and I'm assuming that's all connected within the sympathetic and paras. Is that the right term?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's good. I think one thing that we are coming back to more now as a society, which I love, is the innate intelligence of the body. And the science shows that when we go into nature, our body is relaxed when we connect with the earth because there's electromagnetic fields in the earth. And we are also electromagnetic beings, right? So when we ground, we actually transfer our energy through the earth. And that really helps shift our nervous system because we are electric. We have chemicals and currents and like we're very intricate human beings as we evolved into, but yeah, the earth has a really beautiful effect on the body and helps us regulate, helps us calm down, helps our bodies feel more safe and connected back to a source that has been a part of us for centuries, right? And
Yeah.
so that's one of the pieces of the earth. But I think the more we can ground into whatever helps us feel that way is really important. But getting into nature is so key. But it's hard now sometimes if you live in the city or like you're working 9 to 5, you're inside all the time. And so yeah, it's something I'm trying to do more myself. Actually, this morning I was like, I need to go touch the earth, you know? So
I know, I know. Um, and when clients are coming to you and they're describing this feeling of like being stuck or overwhelmed, how do you initially work with clients and try and figure out what's going on with their particular situation?
so the one what I do is really my philosophy in the work that I do is helping people come back to their bodies. Because like I said, I truly believe our bodies are so infinitely intelligent. They're so intricate. They're these amazing machines that most people don't even understand how to use. And my job is to help people come back to their bodies and help you understand what your body's telling you and how to translate all the sensations, emotions, feelings, thoughts, fears, the things that are coming up. How can we translate that, integrate that, and help you feel really good in your body and move forward in a way that's supportive? And so when people come to me, usually there's a pattern that they're noticing. They're like, oh, whenever I try and, for example, post on social media, my chest really contracts, or
Yeah.
I will procrastinate it, or I have a fear of XYZ and this comes up and I'm anxious. And so we usually dive deeper into, okay, what's happening in the body around this? what is your body associating with these actions and why. And so with the work, a lot of it's somatic, but a lot of it is also action based. And here's what you need to do to make the shifts happen. And when I say somatic, somatic, it just means in the body, right? The soma is the body. So anything to do with experiencing, being, feeling in your body, that is somatics. And anything can be somatic with the right intention, right? And so we're usually just feeling, and I'm asking questions, I'm prompting, and we're seeing what's coming up in the body, what thoughts or emotions or fears. And we usually tend to move through these emotions or stuckness through different modalities. Could be movement, could be breathing, could be shaking, but the nervous system rewires and actually creates safety through moving the energy through. So I do a lot of movement in the work I do with my clients. And also I weave in dancing into that because dancing is a beautiful way to rewire our bodies. And this is how I created my dance parties. So I'm like, dance is amazing. We need to dance to heal. And anyway, this whole thing became a thing.
For the longest time, it was like I if I sent an email, you would have thought I was about to get attacked by a lion in the savannah. Like rationally, I knew that didn't make any sense. Like just
Mhm.
send the email. Like, but it's crazy how your body reacts to things. And I was kind of laughing when you were talking because my therapist is like, where do you feel it in your body? And I'm like, that's why I'm here. Like,
Yeah.
but I guess the point is you can get so disconnected from yourself and from your body, but at the same time, your body is going to let you know. You know what I mean? It's really incredible. And so you talk a lot about capacity. Can you talk a little bit more about capacity and how do you know when you're at capacity
Mhm.
or if you're in an avoidance mode? What I was saying about sending an email or not sending an email because I feel like, I'm going to be attacked or something bad is going to happen.
Yeah. How do you know you're at capacity? This is different for everyone. And I also want to mention something here,
Please.
the difference between, because the word regulation gets thrown around a lot. And everyone's like, oh, I want to regulate my nervous system, I want to regulate, which is important. But people don't actually understand the whole scope. Like a regulated nervous system is a nervous system that can go in and out of stressful responses in a healthy manner, in a timely manner, depending on like our bodies, and coming back to safety after X amount of time and feeling completely at ease. So it's not, people think regulation is calm, it's never getting stressed, it's XYZ, but no, it's being able to feel like you're getting chased by a lion and then a few minutes later be calm again. And that is how we grow our capacity, is the nervous system's ability to experience the spectrum. And I talk about this in my work, the duality of life. It's, wow, I'm really happy right now. I'm also really angry, or I got really triggered. And I'm also like, how we can experience all these emotions safely in our body without going into freeze, shut down, fawn, fight or flight, etc. So here, these are the reasons why we need to work on our capacity, because you can regulate all you want, but regulation only helps you come back to your baseline. But if your baseline is already stressed out, burnt out, these things you're normalized from your experiences and how you've been conditioned, well, your regulation is only going to make you feel more like, oh, I need to breathe, but I can't. So it's about how can we normalize feeling so our nervous system can hold it without going into these. So when you're at capacity, you will notice that your body will go into your typical response. Could be your fight, it could be avoidance, it could be procrastination, it could be sitting on the couch scrolling, it could be making excuses why you don't want to do the thing, it could be avoiding talking to your friends. Like it shows up differently to everyone. And you know when you are in these patterns and habits, when you're thinking like, oh, I should probably stop scrolling, but you don't.
Yeah.
Or you're like, oh, I should probably do this, but you don't. Your body's not able to handle anything more. If anything more at that time feels like too much for you. So that's when we need to go into, okay, how can we support the body? How can we expand our capacity? How can we create safety and more space within ourselves? How can I take care of myself better? What do I need? How do I? And that's where the conversation kind of goes. But yeah, that was really powerful question. Thanks for asking. Does that make
That
sense?
and your answer is like the most clear way I've heard it described. So that was amazing. And I imagine that, whether we're scrolling or avoiding, we're self-soothing, but also when we're using substances, that's another form of self-soothing that makes you think you actually are gaining capacity. Is that like what you've seen?
Yeah. So what I've seen, and I'll talk from my personal experience,
Sure.
it was, for me, was the inability to feel the low feelings and be okay with that. So I would use substances, I would drink, whatever, go out, escape my inner reality because I was feeling so sad. I was feeling this grief. A big part of my journey is me healing through the loss of my little sister. She ended up taking her own life at a very young age. And that whole experience really was challenging to understand how to navigate. And because we're not taught how to hold our emotions or how to process them in a healthy way, I was just feeling these immense waves of grief and sadness and like hopelessness and all the things. And to escape those feelings, I would look for alcohol or going out to party and dance and going to the clubs. That was my form of escaping. And so, yeah, I notice when I work with people, a lot of times people are leaning on, and again, it's not to be judged or something. It could be food, it could be scrolling, it could be sex, it could be whatever your vice is to avoid certain feelings, to avoid something that's happening within. But once you're able to sit with these feelings and let your body know it's safe to be here, it's safe to feel this, it's safe to move through it in a way that supports you, you start to no longer try and escape it, but you start to build your internal strength to become the person that can feel all the hard feelings, but still, you know, be the person you want to be without having to go and lean on external substances. And so that's why I've noticed a lot of it starts from the internal world. That's why the inner work is so important because how your inner world is going to shape the actions you take in your reality.
And when you're moving through this process and you're starting to understand your nervous system more, and let's say you start to feel a certain feeling coming up, how do you guide clients through this when it's like, I love a dance floor, right? There's something just so amazing about that, but I'm not always going to be able to do that in that moment. What are some of the
Yeah.
tools that you offer so that, if you're, I guess you can dance in the grocery store, but let's say you're in a board meeting and you're feeling like the adrenaline, but it's not like the good adrenaline, right? Like it's tipping
Yeah.
over into something else. What are some tools that individuals can use to come back to themselves and to feel it and feel safe in themselves?
That's such yeah, I love that. Now, dancing's not the only tool. I love dancing, but not everyone loves dancing as much as I
Yeah.
do,
And I
right?
love
So
screaming in a pillow, which like isn't gonna work on a stage somewhere, right? Like, excuse me for a
exactly.
moment. Like,
Exactly. So there's different tools for different settings, different contexts.
mhm.
And what I tell my clients is that there is the work, I call this the maintenance work we do every day at home. So I believe the nervous system regulation expansion work is a daily practice, like brushing your teeth. It is something we're practicing every day. So it's the maintenance work you do in your four walls when you have the space, but then there's the tools that you can take out with you depending on the setting. So for example, let's say you're in a meeting or like you're out in a grocery store, it's the little things you can do that can help you. So you just notice, first of all, it's observing, it's noticing, oh, I noticed my heart rate's going up or I'm feeling sweaty or whatever your body will show you. Something's triggering me here. And then I just observe, okay, this is happening. I'm feeling this way. Here's what's coming up for me. And it can be an internal process too. And then I always get people that the most simplest way to downregulate and calm down our nervous system is through breathing, right? So we just take some breaths, take some deep belly breaths to activate our vagus nerve, like we talked about, and exhales, right? Just like breathing, getting yourself back to the present moment. Orienting is very important for our nervous system, especially when we're activated or we feel like there's a threat. Even when there's no threat, orienting is just looking in your surroundings and orienting yourself. So saying, okay, I see this, I see my wall, I see the window, I feel my feet, I'm in the space, I'm present. There's no danger. Like, is there any danger? Like looking, okay, there's no danger, taking some deep breaths, and really just getting your body back to like, we are safe. That's one of the easiest ways to get yourself back into a feeling of safety. And then what I would suggest my clients do is reflect on that, right? Or if they're working with me, they would come to me like, hey, I got really triggered at the grocery store. I don't know what happened, but I calm myself down, but I want to unpack this because that means there's something here that's needs to be attuned to and looked at. I always believe our emotions, our feelings, sensations are just ways our bodies are saying, hey, check this out. Hey, look here. I need your attention. So it's like, how can we take the time after we've experienced that activation, that trigger, to take the space to attune to your body and say, oh, what was there? What can I learn? How can I integrate this? What needs to be moved and released etc. So that's kind of what I would say. But there's different tools people can use, but that's the easiest one is the breathing and orienting.
And so you created the Lit Body Blueprint. And what are the core like pillars or foundations of that?
Yeah, you did your research. You're so good. So the Lip Body Blueprint is something that's evolved over the last 5 years of me being in this field and doing all the work on myself, my clients, just noticing what's coming up, noticing what's been working. And it's always evolving this blueprint because people evolve and I'm always learning more as well. But there's 4 pillars of the Lit Body Blueprint. One of my philosophies is our body is the most amazing tool when we learn how to use it. So how can we become, the word I use is lit, and that's my word for my brand, but it stands for liberated, integrated, and how can we transform or transcend into the version of us that we know we want to be or who we really are at the core. And so being lit in our body is having the 4 bodies, which I'll explain, be liberated, integrated, whole. So I think I view life in this way, but the 4 pillars I think about stands for soul, heart, body, and mind. But it's shabam. And this is like the energy of like being so alive and lit up. And that looks different for everyone, but it's like the shabam. And when you're all aligned, when your soul, your heart, your mind, your body's like optimized and feeling good, it's really hard for you to not be lit, right?
Yeah.
I'll keep this short, but you can also ask more questions about any of
Yeah.
these parts. But the S is for your soul. So are you truly living in alignment with what your soul wants to do? So often, a lot of the reasons why people are low or anxious, depressed, whatever, is because they're neglecting their soul's desires. Like that intuitive nudge that we have. People are like, oh, really want to do this, but I can't. Or, oh, I've always wanted to explore this, but like that every time you butt yourself, it's really holding yourself back. So are you in alignment with the things you want to do? Like for a long time, I didn't dance because I was told it wasn't a good job. As I started to build more of a brand around movement and dancing, like things are so much more aligned and I get really cool opportunities and like people are coming to me because I'm in my energy and my alignment. The second part is the heart, and that's the emotional nervous system work we talked about. Is your heart on board? Are your emotions regulated? Are you able to create capacity in your nervous system to feel the things and not escape? Because emotions are very valuable information for us. The third part is your body. This is where the nutrition, the optimization, are you sleeping well? Are you drinking your water? Like the basics. Is your physical vessel being optimized? Are you feeling good in your body? Are you moving? Are you walking? Are you grounding? Are you
Yeah.
doing the things that make you feel energized and alive, right? Most of the time, people aren't. They're sitting all day, they're not drinking enough water, they're not eating enough protein, they're not going outside, like the things that are needs to really thrive. And then the M is the mind. Like, how's our mindset? How are we thinking? What thoughts are you repeating to yourself? How are your thoughts fueling you or degrading you, right? And these are all the things I look at when I work with someone. And then, of course, the part about being sober is not necessarily like you have to be sober, but it's more about what makes you feel better and how can we create more capacity to feel your feelings in a healthy way, right? And that's my main goal. You don't have to be sober when you work with me, but it's funny to see when we start working on all these things, people don't necessarily want to do drugs or drink alcohol as much once your body's optimized and you're feeling lit. So it's just cool to see that correlation. But yeah, that's a lit body blueprint and helping people just get really aligned in all those 4 areas of their life.
And when you think about those 4 areas and you think about the word lit, like we've met those people that like when they enter a space, they are just like lit up, it's just like there's just some sort of glow and presence about them. And the different areas, the shabam that you were talking about, like it does feel like when you have all of those areas in alignment, you probably are glowing. You probably really are lit up from inside. And this isn't toxic positivity. This isn't bypassing your emotions. It's feeling
Wow.
all of it, right? And making sure that you're safe in all of that space, which is really cool. And like, is there anything that when you work with clients or they're initially teaching clients that maybe surprises them or they even resist a little bit?
Yeah. The thing that surprises them, I would say, is actually how fast they can feel the shift
Mhm.
in their bodies from the state they were feeling. I truly believe there's some narratives in the space where it's like healing takes a long time and it really like it's hard and you have to go so deep and that's not my philosophy per se. There are some transitions and some chapters that are a little bit longer depending on where you're at and where you're coming from. But in my experience, it's not necessarily that it takes a long time, but it's how can you release the things that are here in a safe way that your body feels good to let it go. And so my clients are really surprised, like, oh my gosh. Like I did a smash session a couple days ago. They're like, wow, I felt so tight in my chest. And wow, that was just gone within a few moments. I was like, yeah, because we looked at the deeper reason why you're feeling tight in your chest. And of course, the rewiring process does take a bit longer, but the releasing process necessarily doesn't have to. I think it's really powerful to just share that a lot of people experience shifts the same day, and that also affects how they move forward in their days. But of course, it's that repetition that we need to rewire a new pattern in the body. And the one thing that comes up, the resistance is to going deep, right? In my containers, we go deep because we have to. The real transformation work is the deep work, and where we get to feel the feels and people, because we're not taught how to feel the feelings. So
Yep.
people are very resistant too. They're like, oh, like, yeah, I don't want to kind of, I can see in their bodies, like they're trying to think and not feel and like all the things that come up. And I'm like, no, like, and of course, it's whatever your body is able to share in that moment is beautiful. So some people aren't ready to go that deep yet, and that's okay. But what we are able to shift in that moment is really powerful.
Mhm. Yeah, it took me a long time to not think my feelings, and I felt, and I've got to think of a better word for this. So if you have it, I'll take it. But like I felt truly joy and happiness and sort of these positive feelings.
Mhm.
I could not feel the quote unquote negative feelings, right? Like fear and anger and sadness were just, it was too much, and I was thinking them. And I've shared this before. I started going to therapy after something, and I've gone to therapy throughout my life,
Mhm.
but after something happened, and I was like, I can't access this. Like, I literally thought, what is happening here? Like, I can't feel this, and of course, you Google it, and I'm like, oh my God. So we worked through that. And it is incredible how when you do that deep work, yes, it's uncomfortable, but the
Yeah.
more you do it, like you said, now mine took a lot longer, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And I am curious if you've seen like almost the grief of letting go of that person you were. You know what I mean? Like sort of that person who got you here and protected you, quote unquote, protected you to this point. Do
Yeah.
you deal with that at all or see that at all in your clients of like, maybe grief isn't the right word, but almost a like thanking yourself, forgiving yourself, and stepping into a new container that you have, really.
Yeah, that's definitely a part of the process. I mean, personally, the grief is something I experience often because we're often losing parts of ourselves as we evolve and grow. And
Mhm.
so it is like the feeling in the body for me, it's like this almost like a tug of war. It's like, oh, I want to go here, but there's this part of me that's still here and I need to let go of that part. But I really believe we can still take all the parts with us, but some just to get to be louder than others because we're always coming with us. But
Yeah.
yeah, my clients definitely experience a lot of sadness, grief, and frustration, anger, and the forgiveness work is so important. It's something I incorporate as well. But it's interesting because oftentimes I'll ask the body what they need, and I often try not to tell my clients exactly what they need. It's really about you tuning in and building your inner strength and your self trust. So the body will tell them, like, oh, I need to forgive myself. Like, I'm feeling called to hug myself, tell myself it's okay. And like, these things will come through the body intuitively. And so, yeah, it's all about honoring all the parts and grieving and feeling, and all the deeper emotions come up for my clients, which is beautiful. And then we get to release them. But I think it's all part of the evolving, healing, growing process. And the better we get at feeling these feelings and learning about our unique bodies and how we process best, it's so powerful because we can then be more well versed and have more tools to navigate life because we're always going to be evolving, right? It's a part of everyone. So I
Yeah.
think it's so powerful you mentioned that. And I'd love to hear if you're open to sharing
Yeah.
what has helped you feel some of those, I call them lower vibrational feelings
Mhm.
more often and be okay going there.
Yeah, I think creating that safety in the body, which again, there was like, I wouldn't say there was resistance so much. And I'm saying this in case someone who's listening or watching this, I was really trying, right? I was really trying. And I had a moment, I'm a parent, I have two kids who are teenagers now. And I was like, oh my gosh, just be nice to yourself. You're like a toddler who's learning how to do this. Like, stop trying so hard.
Mm.
And when I stopped trying so hard to feel the right way or just to feel the way I thought I was supposed to feel, that's when it sort of broke open for me. And I felt really safe feeling that way because I had done that work of like the inner child stuff of like, well, where is this coming from? Why does this not feel safe?
Yeah.
And, my perception as a child was if I didn't show up smiling, A pluses on tests, and in this sort of box of acceptable behavior,
Mhm.
I wasn't loved. And whether that's true or not, that is what I experienced. So to be angry, to be sad, to say no, this isn't what I want to do was really unsafe for me.
Mhm. Yeah.
And in unpacking that, I always think of that child as a 9-year-old child. And so I'd talk to myself, I'd be like, hey, I got this. Don't worry about it. You go play. Like I literally started talking to myself. And then within that, like getting into that really safe space of being like, oh, I know where this is coming from. And I don't have to let the 9-year-old be in charge anymore. Like I can be in
Wow.
charge.
Mhm.
And then giving up this control of like this is how it's supposed to feel or like I'm not achieving sadness quick enough or whatever. So once I kind of let that go, that's when it came on. And everyone's different, but in a really sort of ironic way, the joy I felt from being able to feel grief, the joy and comfort I felt from being able to be angry and scared and not go off the rails or hide or like you said like use substances. It's really interesting when you can start to create this safety for yourself and you
Mhm.
may not even know like everything that you were saying. I was like, oh wow, that's what was happening and you said it in this really clear way. But I think releasing this idea of you have to do it a certain way or get an A on a feeling or feelings or whatever it is and just trust yourself, whatever that looks like for you.
Yeah.
That's really how it sort of unpacked for me. And I remember even like in therapy crying and being like, now I know what it's like to be a toddler. Like it's really overwhelming. Oh, this is hard. Like it's hard. But I think the other thing too that's really cool is there's so many ways and so many practices and modalities that can work for you, right? Like I'm a runner and like my mental health is so much better on days that I run or walk than not. But I also practice yoga and like I have started to incorporate that into my daily life. Like when I'm brushing my teeth and I want to scroll and I'm like, no, find a drishti and get in tree pose, like that, and just breathe
Yes.
for a minute. There's lots of different things that you can do at different times in your life. And I think that evolution and meeting yourself where you are, it's such
Mhm.
a beautiful, beautiful thing. But I want to learn more about like, how did you come up with this idea of sober rave, sober dance parties? I'm going to be really honest. When I think of a rave, I think of drugs. Oh, like I
Yeah.
love that you're taking this idea, but like what can people expect when they go to this and what is the energy like in those spaces? And it's like the thing that I love about dancing and being in like big club spaces and like your skeleton is like rocking with like the vibration of the music is the energy. It's like the collective energy there,
Yes.
right? So that to me is like the really cool thing. It's not about like the drugs or drinking or whatever, but I'm curious like if people are like, huh, what is this, like what can people expect?
Okay, listen, there are so many things you just shared that were so good. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, sure,
Can I just touch on one thing? I mean,
please
I
do.
want to talk about so many things, but
Yeah.
touch on the one thing that really I want to emphasize is what you said about the ability to feel more joy once you felt the sadness, the grief, the other emotions. And I see
Mhm.
everything as a spectrum a lot of the time. And so when we're thinking about if you're unable to feel or go there in those lower vibrational emotions, you're also capping your capacity and ability to feel the other side of the higher vibrational emotions. When I was able to process and really feel my grief and sadness, the joy I felt was exponential. What we desire to feel is on the other side of what we're avoiding to feel. And so you have to go through what we're avoiding to actually experience what you're desiring. And so creating more normalizing the feeling, the processing, the deepness. And again, it's knowing that everything you're feeling is totally fine exactly as it is. And I laughed when I used to be the same. I was like, am I feeling this right? Am I feeling the sadness enough? Am I crying? Why am I not crying? I should be crying right now, right? It's like, but knowing that, yeah, like it's the journey and meeting yourself where you're
Yeah.
at. So that's really powerful. I want to emphasize that. And
Yeah.
so that's why what I experienced in my own body, and I was really passionate about helping others experience the same. I was like, you can't experience so much joy, happiness, ecstasy, like elevation without the drugs, without the alcohol. And so
Yeah.
I created these events because I'm a big raver, big festival goer. I'm a dancer. I love music. I
Yeah.
love EDM. Like I've been raving for 15 years and it's like such a good vibe for me. I have such a good time. And so as I became more and more sober, I would still go out, but I was like the only one sober. It was still a fun time, but I found myself not being able to connect with everyone because I wasn't on the same wavelength or vibration as most people. So I would come home and as I got older, really prioritizing my health, like wanting to go to bed earlier. I'm really into fitness and well-being. Like you, I go to the gym, I do yoga, I move a lot. I love movement. And I was realizing there was some misalignment, like me going out and staying out till 3 a.m. and then me getting up to go to the gym or do yoga. I was like, this is not working. And I still go out, but I'm realizing more and more like it's not sustainable because dance is actually so important for humans, for our mental health, for our physiology. Dance has been proven to prevent a lot of old age things like dementia and help us move and be mobile. It's helps, the research about how it's a better antidepressant than most things actually.
Mm.
I really believe dance is such a medicine for society and for people that's a disservice to only have it super late at night, affecting our health, affecting our circadian rhythm, and all other things that dance is associated with, like raving and drugs and the things that aren't supportive for us. And
Yeah.
so I came home from a festival, one of my favorite festivals, and I was like sitting there and just like, I want to do something different. Like, I don't think this has to be the way that I can only experience joy and dance and community. So I was like, I want to create my own community around dancing and sober and being able to move and experience these experiences. So I started creating my LIT Raves. At the time, 2 years ago, it was called Bio Rave because the premise of these events, and this ties into, you were like, yeah, I associate raves with doing drugs. And the thing is, my containers, my raves, we are doing drugs, just the natural ones that our bodies
Mm.
produces, right? And we're actually experiencing exponential highs because there's certain things we do as a collective. It's a guided experience. And so in my events, I guide people through breathing, through movements, through activations. We regulate our nervous system together. We come, and it's a very beautiful space where we get to experience oxytocin, dopamine, like endorphins, all the things that we're feeling as if we were doing drugs, but we're doing that through the community, through the music, through the interactions with people, through, I have stickers and I have stars and we give stars to each other. There's like really intentional moments in my events that help you experience natural highs. And so we are doing drugs, just the ones that are super supportive for our well-being. And my lit raves are super awesome and just a really incredible experience.
That's awesome. When you're in these like very curated experiences, what is the connection that you're seeing with people and what is like the arc of the experience?
Yeah, the arc of the experience. So it's semi-facilitated. I
Mhm.
allow a lot of space for people to do their things. It's so important to allow
Yeah.
people to, mingle
Yeah.
and dance and do the things. How I like to structure my events, and they always evolve and tweak as I get feedback and as I feel what's working, what's not. Right now, it's people come into the space. We do some authentic relating to get to know each other, talk to each other, to know who you're in the space with, right?
Yeah.
We're sharing a little bit deeper things with each other. We're building trust, we're building safety in the container. I actually don't let anyone come late because it
Mm.
affects the whole experience. And those that come late miss the bonding and the trust building and the safety creating. So something people are like, why can't they come late? I'm like, well, because it's actually very important that you're here for the whole experience because then your nervous system's going to be on different levels than other people's and you're not going to experience the same highs as other people.
Yeah.
So after undulating, we do some meditating, some grounding, some breathing. We activate the vagus nerve together. We do a little bit of humming. Then we do a little bit of movement. I always like to bring smacks into my work. So we do some movement. I just ask people to feel into their bodies and move through whatever's alive for them. And this is where people get to be in their bodies and move. And usually their eyes are closed. And this is where we get to start moving and expressing and just releasing and feeling safe to move and express in a room full of strangers. Because one thing that comes up a lot, especially at the beginning, people are like, oh, I can't dance sober. I need a drink to dance. I'm a
Yeah.
bad dancer and things like that. And it's getting out of that narrative because every body is beautiful and every type of movement is amazing, in my opinion. There's no bad dancers, in my opinion. There are just bodies that like to move, and some people move more than others, and that's beautiful. And so it's how can we just accept and love how we move exactly as we do? So we just move together. And then I actually, because I'm a dancer and I teach dance, I teach a very short dance sequence.
Cool.
All do together. And I play a certain song. And throughout the night, we have these activations throughout the night. And it's such a beautiful moment because everyone, they know the dance moves, they know the song, they get a partner, and everyone's dancing together and like just having so much fun. We're connecting. And it's this beautiful psychological thing when people move in unison together, actually we create brain coherence. It's
Wow.
just so cool to observe. And so we're dancing. So I teach the dance at the beginning. And after I teach the dance, we get into our dance party. So either I DJ or I hire a DJ or I play some music and people are dancing and moving. And we're doing the stickers because when you the stickers is a way to help release more dopamine.
Mm.
And the sticker game is like you have to give away all your stickers, you get to show them.
Fun.
And we use it through compliments. And so compliments help you release more dopamine in the brain. Also helps people interact with new people. I'm like, you have to give your stickers away. You have to meet 9 new people today or however many stickers you have. Go make some friends, go interact, go give out like you're a little kid again. And
Yeah.
everyone was like, you look so good. I love your jeans. Nice dance moves and like giving stickers and just like observing it. And so we do that. We do the activations, we dance together. And it's this whole beautiful like energy, community, people just like laughing, giggling, connecting. And at the end, we wind it down, we ground, we do a short meditation, we breathe, we stretch. Then we do some shares together. So people can share about their experience, they can share about how they felt, what shifted for them. And it's just overall, that's the arc of the event. That's what you
Yeah.
can expect.
That's so beautiful. I love Fred again. And he
Yeah.
does like calming meditations at the end of his sets for people. That transition, it can be really rough. Like, it can be
Can
really
be.
difficult.
Yes. That's so
Yeah.
important. He came to Vancouver, but he didn't do that. And I was so annoyed when I saw he was doing that. Now I was like, wait, he didn't do that at our event.
Do
But I
that?
think it's
Yeah.
well that he has that incorporated now because integration is so important, reflecting. Because when you're dancing and moving and connecting and interacting with people, things are coming up for you, right?
Hmm.
We don't necessarily have the time to unpack it when you're dancing. So having an integration space, having space to share and like reflect, some really beautiful things come through. And I think it's so great that Fred again does it. I think it needs to be
Yeah.
normalized more in environments like that. So that's why I do it in my events as well. But super
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And so if someone's listening to this and they feel like, wow, they're resonating with this and they sort of feel like maybe I am disconnected from myself, what's one thing that you would say for them as they start exploring this journey for themselves?
Yeah. One thing I would say is find a time you can do this regularly. If you're
Mm.
starting, just pick one time of the day. Maybe it's in the morning when you wake up, maybe it's in the night, and just started checking like how am I feeling? And it's really not thinking about but feeling in the body. Okay, how am I feeling right now? Maybe, okay, I feel some tension here. And just notice. Just observe and notice. That's the best way to start connecting more and more. And then you start to feel and you sit with yourself and you feel. And then as you practice feeling, you can notice that throughout your day, you'll be more observant of how you're feeling and oh, okay, I'm feeling this. Maybe I need to move. I'm feeling this. Maybe I need some water. And start intuitively listening to your body based on how you're feeling. And the more you can incorporate this into your day, the more you can be more tuned and more connected. And that's a really good
Place to start. I used to, I mean, you literally could see it. Like my shoulders were up to my ears. I wouldn't breathe. And at the end of the day, I was like, God, I feel terrible. And I'm like, you're hunched over like a shrimp. You haven't had any water all day. And like your shoulders are up by your ears. Like maybe take a few checks during the day. So one of the things I like to do is I have an Apple Watch. And when it tells me to stand up, like I do and I drink water and it's that little thing of just like sometimes I don't even want to check in with myself or I'm like yeah everything's good I just need to move right like we're not
wow.
meant to really experience life the way that we are experiencing it and so I think there's lots of little things that people can do for themselves throughout the day
Mhm.
that they can incorporate in so I love that just like non-judgmental just checking in with yourself and seeing how that goes
Yeah,
um
exactly.
so I have some questions, some like rapid fire questions for you. They're not like
Okay.
gotchas, but I'm excited for your answers to these. What is your go-to song when you want to shift your energy quickly?
This changes all the time
Okay,
because I
that's all
change
right.
music all the time.
Yeah.
Right now, my go-to song, I actually just played it. It's called Drugs That I Like by Mellow. But it's a vibe. I'm a bass head. I like bass and dubstep. And so I just love music that's like not all the time, but most of the time. If I want to get pumped up, it's like this like bass. Like it's yeah. So that's the
Yeah.
song right now.
Nice. I love it. I love it. Okay, cool. And what would be your ideal lit experience?
My ideal lit experience. I mean, I'm biased, but my events. But
Okay, fair. That's fair. Love
if
it.
it wasn't my events, it would be grabbing food with friends and going out dancing after because I still go out to events. I still
Yeah.
go out dancing and stay out late and all the things. So that would
Yeah.
be grabbing foods with friends and then dancing, moving my body and connecting. Deep
Yeah.
conversations and movement are like two things that make my life like really more enriched.
And then what do you, or sorry, like what's one wellness trend you think like is not it?
There's so many, but I would say honestly, green powder, AG1, greens, not it.
Not it. Okay, cool. Those were my little rapid fires for you. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you want to make sure listeners hear or know about, or just anything I didn't cover?
The one thing I like to share that I often share is that so many of us underestimate the power and the magic of our bodies. And I truly believe that we can shift our state and create a new reality within moments, within days, within weeks from just understanding the fact that you can shift your state by understanding what you need to do so. It could be movement, getting outside, dancing, drinking water, but your state is the foundation of how you operate from your day to day, right? Especially if your nervous system is in a more dysregulated state. So understand what you need to feel in a better state every day. And that, even that will change your life because you'll start showing up differently and yeah, that state management is so powerful and you have the power to do so. I think one thing I always empower myself, my clients to think is I am in control. I got this. Like I'm the decision maker. I'm in the driver's seat. Like what do I need to do for myself? Right. And taking your power back to understand that you have the ability to shift and create so many cool things when you decide to do that. So
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. And so the three questions that I ask all of my guests, the first one is, what do you love most about this work? And I think you touched on it a little bit, but what do you love most about this work that you do?
and what I love the most is seeing people come alive, whether that's on the dance floor or in the work I do with my clients. It's just seeing people really embody and take action and learn and experience how our bodies can really be elevated through doing the work. And it's not always easy, but it's the ability to expand people's minds around how you get to feel every day and how we can move through life feeling more energized, more lit up, and also holding the other parts of life and the low vibrational feelings without going into these negative spirals. It's the shift people experience. It's really cool to observe. That's my favorite thing. What I do is helping people experience more of that.
Before I ask the next question, something you touched on that I don't think we touched on enough is like, this is awesome and you can feel great and you can feel safe in your body. But some of this is also really hard, right? And I don't want to discount that for people as they're going through it. It can be really difficult work. And I hope that people are proud of themselves because it's not always like high vibrational. Sometimes you're just like in it.
Exactly.
It's a different journey for everybody. And even if it
Exactly.
happens in moments or years, like I hope if anybody's listening to this and is on that journey or thinking about it, like being proud of yourself to go through it. And to you for going through this and sharing it now and changing people's lives is really remarkable. So thank you for that.
You for saying that. That's such a good point. And I think something that I talk about a lot is, yeah, the challenges. Like it's probably, I believe this is the hardest work we can ever do because we are recreating ourselves and we are changing a lot of parts of us and unlearning and stripping and it's messy and it's very challenging. And so yeah, be so proud of yourself. You're doing the
Yeah.
work, no matter where you are in your journey. It's incredible work we're doing and we are changing not just our lives, but future generations' lives as well. Because this is like deep shifts in our nervous system, which gets passed along. So I think it's so beautiful.
And what advice would you give to your younger self?
Mm, my younger self, I would say to go after the things that you keep thinking about. Stop listening to other people who don't believe you. The things that are on your heart are meant for you, and that you get to do the things and go and live your life and become the version of you, and that you're doing a great job and you're doing better than you think you are. You need to be kinder to yourself and celebrate yourself more.
Yeah, I love that. And how can people find you? How can they work with you? How can they attend one of your events?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Pearl Cicci. CICCI is the second part. And if you want to come to my events, come to Vancouver.
Yeah,
I do travel and host some events sometimes. I have had requests to do events other places. So once I
cool.
get there in my brand journey, I would love to do pop-ups in other cities. And you can work with me if you want to. Just DM me. I do one-on-one somatic sessions. I'm actually launching a group program in the next month. So that's where you can find me if you want to learn any more about that.
That is awesome. Pearl, thank you so much for sharing all of this. And you are just a joy. Your energy is awesome. And I just appreciate this conversation. It's been really wonderful.
Thank you for having me. Honestly, thank you for your questions and you being so prepared and everything we talked about. It was so great. And I hope if you're listening, you got some nuggets and you can take away some things that you can implement into your days and really start to shift whatever you desire. Thanks, Megan. It was really beautiful to be on here.